Sometimes them calls can be emails and I just be like, hey, it's Janae back with another video. If you're new here, welcome, and if you are returning, hey girl, hey, make sure you take a moment to stop and subscribe, like this video, and turn your bell notifications on so you know when I post. So today, y'all, we're doing my very first Q&A. I told you guys to go to my Instagram and ask me all your questions about being a social media manager or working in social media, and you did, so we're gonna go ahead and go through them now. So of course, I have the questions right here on my phone, so we're just gonna go through them, starting from the first question. And yeah, so the first question says, how do you manage your time? So a few different ways. Working from home in any industry can be very distracting, especially for me. Like I get distracted very easily, so I had to find a way to be disciplined about time so that I can get things done and still manage to like have fun and do other things that I want to do that aren't necessarily work related. So one way I manage my time is by creating a to-do list. I create a weekly to-do list every single week, and then I break that down into a daily to-do list. So that's one way I manage my time, because I'm like, I know that these are the things I have to do. I only have 24 hours in a day. Only about 10 of those hours are allotted to work, so I need to make sure I get things done within that time frame. Now, the more detailed way that I manage my time is by using the Pomodoro technique. I think that's how you pronounce it, but it's when you break your time or your work up into 25-minute increments, and then every 25 minutes you take a 5-minute break. You guys, this truly helps me. Me and my friend Deandra use it a lot. Like, she says that I introduced her to it, but I don't know, I feel like she put me onto it. But it works, right? So like, I'll set up maybe like 2 hours straight. I'm gonna work, no distractions, no phone, no Instagram, no, well, I work on Instagram, so technically I'm still on Instagram, but not my own personal timeline. So like, no phone unless it's work related, no Instagram unless it's work related, no YouTube unless it's work related, zero distractions unless it's work related. And I take that 2-hour time frame and I break it down into 25-minute increments. I get so much work done. Like, you guys will be like, I don't know, surprised at how much you can get done if you just like hone in on what you're doing and focus on that. Like, I have a habit of taking a 20-minute assignment and turning it into like 3 days. Like, it takes me so long to do the smallest task. I had to stop doing that because I was wasting so much of my own time. So now that I do that Pomodoro technique, and I use it for everything, y'all, like not just work. I use it for like cleaning up. I use it for like self-care activities. Like, I literally use it for so much, because like 30 minutes is a half an hour. If you do, are you working or you focused on a task for 25 of those minutes, and then you take a little 5-minute break, literally it's life-changing. Like, try it with your work. I promise you will see a difference. Like, I promise you. Second question is, what made you decide to work in your field? Okay, so I've always loved social media since it was like a thing, or since it's been a thing since I've been around, or whatever the case. Ever since I was introduced to social media, I've always loved it. I've really enjoyed content creation, everything that goes into it. So when I went to school, to college, I decided to pursue a degree in communications. At first it was journalism, and then that switched over to public relations, and I managed to finesse my way into the world of social media through a number of avenues, but mainly I chose to work in this because it's fun and I actually do enjoy it. Like, I like working in social media for myself, and so by being like a content creator or influencer, creator or whatever, so like being able to do it for work, it was like a no-brainer. I guess I just knew what I wanted, so I just went for it. So that's kind of how I decided to work in my field. On a more like superficial level, I've always really been into like magazines and like the media industry. So when I was like younger, my mama subscribed me to 17 and Cosmo Girl. I don't know if y'all remember those magazines, but those were like it for me. Like, I always loved how the content in the magazines were, like the horoscopes, the games, blah blah blah, all that stuff was always just so interesting to me. The articles, the interviews, you know. And then when I got a little bit older, I was able to look into Essence magazine and have been in love with Essence magazine ever since. So the idea of media and content has just always been in me. I've always loved, not to mention Jet magazine. Jet magazine is a classic too. I literally have some like old Jet magazines, like from literally like 1953, y'all. Like I'm literally that obsessed. I love magazines. It's just my favorite form of media. So I just knew I wanted to make that work. So that's how I was able to just choose this world for me. The next thing says, this will be such a good video. I'm hyped. Girl, I hope y'all love this video. So the next question says, what's your process like for identifying the client's wants? So this is where I'm able to put my PR degree into use, because I learned about this thing in school called a SWOT analysis. So it's SWOT. The S is for strengths, the W is for weaknesses, the O is for opportunities, and the T is for threats. So that's the first thing I try to go through with my clients, just to identify any competitors within their field. We identify their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and their threats. So that kind of lets me know like who they are as a brand. And then as far as the client themselves, like the individual, I'm able to figure out what they want just by talking to them. We do like a questionnaire. I try to ask them, let me see what's on some of the things on the questionnaire, what they're inspired by, who they're inspired by, their favorite color, their favorite food. Even if they've traveled, I try to figure out like what like how they feel about current culture. Are there any artists they love, music, blah blah blah. I try to ask them like, what are your favorite social media channels? What are your favorite social media platforms? Whose social media account do you like? Because you can have a client, like if you're in social media management, there's a few different industries you can manage social media for. So if it's like food, you want to find out if they're open-minded to even like looking at some ideas for like accounts that are not dedicated to food. Like if you're like a chef and you want me to manage your social media, I'll see if you're open to like trying some trends that may work in the beauty industry, because at the end of the day, all of it is marketing. So I just try to like, you know, do some Q&A with them, talk to them very often before we get started to figure out like who they are, what they want. And then I try to be very clear about expectations. Like I'm going to tell you what I offer as far as my services, but I also want you to tell me what you're looking for, because we have to be compatible. It has to match. So that's definitely a part of my process for identifying the client's wants. Basically just asking them just straight up, what do you want? Like it really gets no clearer than that, sis. What do you want? Another question, how do you maintain your own social presence while running others? This is actually a challenge for me. So I have fallen off a few times on my own social media because I was, you know, pretty like focused on work. But time management, so it goes back to that first question, is how I manage my time. I know that there's a certain amount of time and attention I have to give to clients and work, but there's also me wanting to create my own content or anything that I want to do. I have to understand that I have to allow myself time to do that too. So one way I do that is by not working on the weekends. Like it just is what it is. I try to schedule everything out so that I'm really not working on the weekends. I try to dedicate those times to me, myself, and I, whether it's creating content for YouTube or even just like catching up on YouTube channels I like to watch, or catching up on people on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever, catching up on my own personal influences. Like that's what I try to take the weekends for. Another way to do that, managing my own social presence while working for others, is by planning ahead. So the same way that I format content for clients is the same way that I do it for myself. I'm not as organized for myself as I am for clients, I guess, because I'm the one it's for. I don't have to really like submit anything. I don't have a deadline or a due date for myself. So I'm a little more lenient when it comes to my own content and my own social presence. But I know that like work comes first when it comes to like me wanting to be an influencer or me wanting to create content, because right now that's my main source of income. So I absolutely have to work, you know what I mean? So there's that, y'all. Looking, I knew she was gonna do it. The mailman just delivered something to my door and I could see him through the window. I knew Georgia was gonna bark. It's inevitable. Mama, it's okay. It's okay. Next question is, how much input do you require from a client? So I'm not exactly sure what she means by this question. I should have asked her to elaborate, but I'll tell you how I make sure the client is involved in the process the whole time. So it's very important when you're working for people freelance, or when people are paying you directly to do something for them, you gotta over communicate. Like, I don't want to say you gotta kiss nobody's ass, but you absolutely have to like over communicate. It's like, you just gotta make sure they know that you're working, because they are spending money with you. And social media services are not cheap. I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna go into like how much I charge or how much you should charge or whatever the case is, but I will tell you that if you are trying to create a lucrative business for yourself, trying to make this like your mainstream of income, it's not a cheap service. You have to actually work. Like, it seems like it's fun and it's glamorous, but sis, it's actual work. So over communicating with them, because again, they're spending their money with you. I like to do weekly calls with my clients. Like, for instance, I have one client where we talk literally every Monday at 11. It's a standing call for me and her. It's very helpful for the both of us. I get to make sure that I am constantly updated on her expectations, on what's going on with her brand, so that I can deliver and I can perform, because otherwise I ain't getting paid. You know what I mean? Another way that I like to get clients' input is by submitting, like, for instance, one of my services is to curate your feed for you. So I have to submit that to you by a certain date, allow you to make changes so that I have time to make revisions, so that you're involved in the creative process. It's not just me, because again, it's what you want. I'm just executing it and bringing it to life for you so that we can come together and create some results. You know what I mean? So showing them stuff ahead of time, communicating, setting up calls. Like, I know some people don't like to talk on the phone. There are a few systems that you can communicate with your clients, like Honeybook. I have a really good friend that uses that as a way to communicate with clients. Emailing, again, because of course you want boundaries, but if you want your clients' input, like, they'll be more than happy to tell you what they want. You know what I mean? But yeah, for me, it's really just communication and just like submitting things ahead of time for approval. So there's that. How to get started with working in social or as a social media manager. So that's kind of a two-part question. So I'll kind of tell you from my point of view. So working in social is kind of easy to do. So for me, my opportunities came from me creating my own content. I had to literally create a lane for myself, and I stand on that. Sometimes you just got to make your own opportunities, girl. Like, you know what I mean? Networking and all of that is probably the second part of that, but the first part of that is to make sure you know what you want and to start creating those opportunities for you. Okay, so for me, I identified brands that I was willing to work for, or companies, or whatever the case, and then I also have this other thing where I identify certain people within the industry that I really like and looked up to. Kalana Barfield Brown being one of them. She has a career in media. She used to be the beauty editor for InStyle magazine. Love her. So I did research on her, figured out, like, you know, kind of the path that she took. Elaine Welterworth is another great example of somebody you can, even Issa Rae, you know, look up like their trajectory, because it's ever changing and you can easily get inspiration from those women. Like, it's not hard. They have books, they're on social media, they have hella interviews. There's so many ways to just find inspiration from the individuals who have a job or like are in a career that you would want to work in. So that's the first part to that. Now, working as a social media manager, so people or brands are starting to open that up as a role within their companies now. So it's good to like search LinkedIn for different opportunities. Refinery29 Unbothered has an excellent group for Black women who work in media in all lanes, and you're able to just kind of like find opportunities there, networking with other people who are creatives. And that doesn't just have to be social media managers. There are so many different roles within this world. There's influencer marketing, influencer management, there's social media management, but then there's also community management. I have done all those roles. There's also like content creators who are content creators for themselves, so they're like influencers / content creators. There's also individuals who are content creators for brands, so photographers, videographers, graphic designers. Like, make sure you're networking with those type of people, because a lot of these jobs and opportunities come from word of mouth. Like, sometimes it really is about who you know. You know what I mean? Like I did say, yes, you have to start creating opportunities for you, but that just means to put the work in, do your research, create some content. You know what I mean? Because you can't roll up to a brand saying, I want to be your social media manager, and you don't know how to create content, especially if it's like your first opportunity. Like, show them that you know how to post, show them you know how to engage. I really leveraged my career in social media management through my own platform. I don't have a large following by no means, but I know how to curate content. I know how to keep up with cohesion. I know how to manage a community, and I've been able to prove that through my own social media channels. So there's that. If you want a more formal way to go about it, again, girl, like I was saying, you can go through LinkedIn. You can try to find different boards and forums, but networking, I'm a great person to network with, like no cap. I'm not even trying to be funny. I don't have a problem putting people on. So if you really want to pursue like a, you know, a career in this industry, send me a DM, because y'all, I really will be like your virtual homegirl. I can help you. Like, I'm not saying I can get you a job, but I can definitely give you advice beyond this video, or tips beyond this video, or just point you in the right direction if you want. You know, I really don't mind doing that. So yeah, my DMs are open. So next question is, are there any prerequisites needed to work in social as a social media manager? Girl, no. Like, I have friends in this industry who don't have a degree. I have friends in this industry who went to school for nursing. Like, this is just, it's no prerequisite as far as like school goes. The only thing I will say is just, you know, we got to get creative, y'all. This is a creative industry. If you have not worked for anybody as a social media manager, please use your own social media to leverage yourself, because you can. I created a whole separate platform called Creative Girl Hangout. I've talked about it with you guys before. I'm super excited to get back to creating for it, which I will soon. But I use that platform to show people what I was capable of. Create a blog. If you want to get on YouTube, like, you know what I mean? Start with yourself. Manage your own social media. That is a great way to show that you are capable of doing this. You know what I mean? I just realized I feel like I'm talking like loud, but it's probably because I'm just really passionate about this, because I just know that a lot of the times this type of work can seem superficial, glamorous, unachievable, or something that like only certain people are able to do, but it's just not like that. Like, it's not like that. You know what I mean? I'm really passionate about it because, y'all, your background literally does not matter. You just have to want it, and you have to go for it, and you have to be willing to like create. Literally create. That's literally what this is. How is the stability of it all? Child, we have had some ups and downs. We is me, myself, and I. It depends, because there's a few different ways you can go about doing this. So like, I work through contracts. I ended up having to create a whole business for myself. And maybe one day I'll do a video on how that works. I'm just not super well versed in it, so I'm not the best person to talk about that with. But yeah, I work through contracts, so sometimes they have a length of time attached to them, sometimes they really don't. This is such a new industry that there really is no like president, so nobody really knows what to do, and that's you as the social media manager and sometimes the client. Like, we don't know. This really our third day out here.
Yeah, it's only my third day out here. I don't know.
Like, I'm not trying to be funny. It's probably going to take at least another like 10 to 15 years to really like do some research to figure out how all of this works. I'm really not trying to be funny. As far as the stability of it all, I'm pretty good about keeping a job. Like, I'm gonna be straight up with y'all. I've gained contracts and lost them within the same week at a time. I've got a new client, worked for them for maybe like 3 to 4 months, something goes wrong, and it's the end of the relationship. You know, I haven't been able to fully rely on one client, but I always have work. Like, and then again, the stability of it all is really up to you. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. See, there are some social media managers or some people who work in social that have turned their whole like all of their content is pretty much related to that. I'm not that type of person because I still want to do what I want to do on the internet, you know what I mean? But there are some people who keep clients rolling in based upon the fact that all they post about is social media management, so they're able to attract clients in that way. There are people who have created additional services. Like I've put together some really unique services for myself that just will solidify the fact that I will be getting paid every month, no matter if a contract falls through or not. Consultations, social media audits. I also do this thing with certain brands that you guys have seen me do before. I've shown you where sometimes brands just send me products so that I can like do unboxings and stuff for them. There's a lot of unique ways you can attack this industry, but as far as the stability of it all, girl, it's not stable. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not like a definite career. It's just ever changing, and if you want it to be something, you gotta really like make that work for you. Next question is, how did you get started, and advice for someone wanting to get started? So I never really know how to answer the how did I get started question, only because I've had such a unique situation. But I will say that it started with me. My content on social media attracted the clients I have. Like I really mean that. I'm being as honest as possible, y'all. Like I used to, back in the day, my content was heavily focused in like natural hair, right? Like I wasn't newly natural because I've been natural my whole life, but I was new to this type of natural. Like the fact that we have so many products, so many brands, we got cute packaging, blah blah blah. Like it wasn't like that back when my mama was doing my hair, or like when she was natural, or you know, back in the day. So I was really into wanting to like wear my curls because I was just wearing like a silk press at all times. I had severe heat damage, so you know what I mean, I was trying to fix that. So I would do a lot of like natural hair content, and at the time, because that was so much longer ago, natural hair brands were also new to social media, so you have to keep that in mind. Certain brands were new when we were new, like we were all learning this at the same time. But I had a really unique way of sharing my journey, and it was really creative, and I would just create that type of content, and they would like, you know, reach out to me on a level outside of I want you to be an influencer. It was more so like, can you do this for us, because we don't want to do it. So that was like how I got started. Now some advice for someone wanting to get started kind of goes back to that last question. Please create your own content, have something to show. Like I cannot stress enough how important it is to be able to show some, you know, it's like I don't want to make it seem like I'm just telling you like, girl, you got to be a content creator, because that's not what I'm saying. It's just that like we all have access to the internet. We all have access to social media. Please start with yourself, because if you can go to a brand and be like, I was able to take my Instagram from 5K to 10K in a matter of 3 months, they're gonna be like, how? Tell us how. You know, I'm interested. And I'm not saying it's that easy. Like, please understand. I'm just trying to tell y'all what worked best for me and how I was able to do this. So you really gotta like create your own content and network, and if you want to, you can take some courses. Like there are some individuals who offer courses. I'll try to find some and put them in the description box, but I know there is a young lady, I will subscribe to her newsletter, and she talks about being a social media manager. Please do your research. There are tons of videos on the internet about working in this industry, how to become a social media manager. Y'all want to know? Okay, so here's another way you can probably go through it. DM the brand you want to work for. Somebody is operating that DM. At this point, it may be someone that they've hired, you know, or whatever the case, but just send a DM. Say, hey, my name is such and such. I am pursuing a career in social media management or content creation. I would love to have the opportunity to create something for you, or send my work over to you, or you know, something. Like let them know you're interested, and be nice. Like we're gonna have a conversation about how to properly DM a brand, because I manage a few inboxes and y'all be wilding. Y'all be in there like, send me some products, I want to be sponsored. No, That is not how you DM nobody. That is not right. Any favorite apps for managing multiple accounts? For managing multiple accounts, currently freelancing and drowning. Oh, okay. First of all, my cousin asked me this question, so I need to DM her, or I need to text her and give her some direct answers. But as far as favorite apps, let me go to my apps so I can tell y'all. So a few of my favorite apps for scheduling and planning, I like Planoly and Later. I've tried before. Oh, Sprout Social is really good too, but I only recently started working with Sprout Social, so I can't give you guys a whole lot of insight about that particular platform. But Later, I love Later because it allows you to schedule for Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and TikTok. So those are like the 5 top social media platforms right there. It allows you to schedule for all of that. You can create different captions for them all, hashtags for them all, scheduling times, all of that. So I like the way Later schedules. I like Planoly for the way that you're able to curate, because I use Planoly for Creative Girl Hangout in my personal feed. I used to use Unum, I think that's how you pronounce it, Unum, but it's not as robust as you would need for someone who's actually managing social media. Both Later and Planoly and Sprout Social allow you to be logged into multiple accounts at once, and you can use them on the desktop and on your phone. I do really enjoy working on my desktop, or on my laptop. I'm tapping it because it's right here. You can also use it on your iPad. If you have an iPad and you want to see things like larger, you can use it on there either. You can use it on there also. And then a few other apps. Oh, I was supposed to be going to my apps folder. Let me see. Canva is excellent. You can create on Canva and you can schedule on Canva now. I haven't tried the scheduling portion of it, but I do know that it works. What else do I have in my phone? Because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm a Google Docs baby. I love Google Docs. Like, I use it. My friend Krista will probably see this and be like, girl, you don't know how to use Google Docs. But yes, I do. It's Google Drive that I have issues with. Google Docs is A1. I use that for everything. I use that to do my content calendar. I don't put it on an actual calendar. I like to list it out. Like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I have some clients who are a little bit older and who don't really understand social media, so I have to make it as plain as possible to them. Okay, so I do like Google Docs a lot. So basically I just use Later, Planoly, Google Docs, Dropbox is definitely A1, WeTransfer, and I think that's really it, because I keep things really simple. If you guys want a separate video on like different apps and stuff that I use, just let me know and I will create it. Let me go back to the questions. Does it make you over social media? Sometimes I'd be like, man, I don't feel like being on the timeline today. I have a client who has her notifications on for the shade room and they be coming to my phone and I'd be like, no, I don't want this. So stuff like that is annoying. But y'all, I have 2 phones now, so luckily I don't have to see it often. But that kind of stuff does kind of get to me, because I'm really, there's so much competing for my attention, because I have multiple clients and I'm like looking at all of their timelines. I'm going through all of their DMs. It's just so much at once. You know what I mean? That's why time management is very important. You have to like understand that like there is a time and a place for everything, including social media. And it hasn't made me completely over it, but I do get overwhelmed sometimes and I'll be like, girl, I don't want to do this today. Something you wish you knew before working in social, positive and negative. So a positive that I wish I knew before working in social is how like liberating this really is. Like, you really can create your own role. Like, child, make yourself useful. As long as you are useful to like your client or your brand, they're gonna keep you around, because this is literally something that they do not want to do. Okay, like I've worked with really big clients, I've worked with small clients, I've worked with clients in between. All of them are approaching me because they don't want to do this. So just make sure you do it. So the positive is that I wish I had known that, you know, I would be able to do so much with this. Travel, create my own schedule, work from home. I've been working from home since before working from home was work from home. Like pre-quarantine, Janae was working from home. It's different now because, you know, I was forced to work from home due to COVID. But prior to that, y'all, I was happy to work from home. Like, I've been working from home for a while now. I don't think I could ever go into a traditional work setting. Like, I'm not gonna say never say, you know, never say never, because I do want a personal office outside of my house one day. But as far as like going to work, I don't think I'll ever be able to really like do that enjoyably ever again. And a negative that I wish I knew is that it's not stable. There was so much that I had to learn with my first contract, y'all. I told you guys my first contract was in 2019. That's when I moved to Atlanta. Oh my goodness, y'all. I didn't even realize that this wasn't like a job. Like, I didn't realize I had taken on a contract, meaning like I'm self-employed and they are my client. You know what I mean? So it's like they're paying me, but as far as like taxes go, oh my goodness, health insurance, like all of that stuff, I gotta pay for that on my own. You know, like I have a girl who does my taxes. Her name is also Janae. That was not done on purpose, but she helps me a lot with like learning like taxes and stuff. I had to create a business for myself because otherwise I'm just taking payments through PayPal. And when you go apply for like an apartment or apply for like something and you need to do like income verification, they're gonna be like, girl, what is PayPal? Like, where's your business account? You say you work for yourself, let me see, you know? So stuff like that, I wish I had known how to put different processes in place. Because when it comes to this, like the creative side of it, I got that down pat. But all the technical stuff and the systems and stuff that go with it, child, I'm still learning. You know what I mean? So I wish I had known that before I started. And that's what any like stream of entrepreneurship, that's not just for social media. So that can apply to any of you who work for yourself. What's your favorite and least favorite part about working in social media? My favorite part is flexibility, y'all. I really be at home working in what I got on now, which is a hoodie, some biker shorts, and I have on some slippers. Like, I love that I can work from anywhere at any time. I really like having that type of, you know, flexibility for myself. Like, favorite part, top tier. My least favorite part about working in social media is, I'll be honest, but I feel like, okay, when things happen in the world, for instance, like when the Black Lives Matter movement took place last summer, the culture was cracking down on brands. Coming face to face with consumers digitally can be hard. I just had to learn how to not take this stuff personal. If they like cussing you out in the comments, cussing the brand out in the comments over something, stuff like that can be kind of like, whoa there. Another one of my least favorite parts is just like, I don't know, like just having too much going on at once. Because so yes, you can, as much as, no matter how much you like plan, things still pop up. So I don't have a hard time coping with change, but when it's last minute, I get very annoyed. I'm a very sporadic person, but when it comes to last minute stuff for work, I be like, I don't like that. Like, say for instance, something pops up, now I gotta create a whole post for it. Like, that kind of stuff kind of like rubs me the wrong way. I deal with it well. Like I said, I feel like PR kind of like prepared me for that, especially like the crisis management portion of my degree. I just, you know, I just really, because you put so much work and time into like curating a content calendar and like putting a schedule together, so when it's thrown off, it can be inconvenient. I'm not gonna lie, it can get inconvenient, but you just roll with the punches and you just keep it moving. I've kind of learned how to just deal with that, but I think that's my least favorite part. It's just like last minute stuff. I also don't really like being on the phone. I hate taking calls. I know that it's necessary. I'm not saying that I won't do it, but sometimes them calls can be emails and I just be like, you know. But I have to understand that traditional work settings, I'm in a non-traditional work setting. So traditional work settings can have meetings whenever. Like, you can be in an office and you can be called into a meeting whenever. So it's kind of the same, you know, it's kind of the same thing, especially because I have contracts that I have on my own, and then I do work for a brand. So it's like I'm kind of at their I'm at the mercy of them. I do have boundaries, of course, and there are times where we don't talk on the phone. But for the most part, if they need to speak with me on the phone, I can't just be like, no, I don't want to talk on the phone. But I don't like being on the phone. Do you or have you ever pitched to brands for partnerships? If so, do you have any tips? This is more of like an influencer question. I have pitched to brands for partnerships. Do I have any tips? One tip, I'll give you 2 tips. So one tip is to find out who their social media manager is or influencer manager. You can do that a couple ways. You can do that through LinkedIn or you can do it through Twitter. Just search XYZ brand social media manager and something's gonna come up on both of those platforms, both LinkedIn and Twitter. Most brands have an email address that's like partnerships@XYZ brands, and you can just like, you know, reach out to them, say, hey, my name is blah blah blah, I would love to work with you. No, introduce yourself. Hey, my name is Janae. I am a content creator based in Atlanta. I love your brand and would love to work with you. Please let me know how to go about a partnership. I have attached my media kit, which includes analytics. Never put rates in your media kit, but you can include like some analytics and some statistics and stuff about your social media, and say like, you know, how do we move forward with a partnership? So that's one tip. Second tip is to straight up DM the brand. Like, but y'all please be respectful in the DMs. Do not DM a brand and say, hey, I love your brand, send me some products, because I see that a lot and I just be like, girl, come on, like, come on. Send a DM to the brand. Don't make it long though, okay? Keep the box at this width, because sometimes the you know the box be narrow, but it's like long. Y'all know how DMs look, but keep it right here, please. Just say, hey, my name is Janae, would love to work with you. Who can I contact about a partnership? And put like a heart emoji or something. Keep it very short, because y'all, messages this long, I read everything. I'm not gonna lie, I read everything, but there are some people who don't read, and if you're not like straight to the point, they're gonna be like, girl, don't nobody want to read all of this, especially because like time is money and you got to be quick. You got to grab people's attention. That's with anything, you have to be quick. So there's 2 tips. Find out who is over content with the brand, send them an email, or you can send a DM directly to the brand. But she said pitch for partnerships. Have I done like an actual pitch? I don't think so. I think it's been very basic level like that. Yeah. But if you're gonna pitch, I will say this, if you're gonna be pitching to brands, make sure that you're actually an asset. I'm not saying that to be mean, but if you don't have the bandwidth for content, do not reach out to a brand, because they're gonna have expectations, and if you don't meet them, then that's gonna make you look bad. It's gonna like affect your integrity, your reputation. I've been there. Don't go there. Another thing, if you're not ready, then don't go for it. Also, if you try to have some integrity, right? Like, let me say this. If you work for, or if you have done content, this is for my influencers. If you've recently created content for hair care brand A, give yourself at least 3 months to reach out to hair care brand B, because that's where a lot of, like, just from an industry standpoint, sometimes it can get really mitzy with brands and influencers, because it's just like, you don't want to be all over everybody's Instagram page creating content. Like, establish some loyalty. That's how you get to the real money. A lot of times it's by establishing a relationship with the same brand. And in the industry, people will tell you that a returning client is almost more valuable than a new client. It's the same with anything, and that goes for literally anything. How many times have you ate at Chick-fil-A? A lot. Just Chick-fil-A. You don't go to Chick-fil-A and tell them about your experience at Zaxby's and la la la. You don't do that. You stand by Chick-fil-A. That's the same thing with influencing. Like, give yourself time in between brand deals. Don't work with a whole bunch of brands in the same industry at once, because it's just like really finicky. And plus, I know sometimes like people's followers don't want to see that. Oh, another app that's good about communicating, so I'll probably insert this there or just say it now. Slack. I recently started using Slack with one of my clients, and it is like top tier. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. We got 2 more questions, y'all. I already answered this, is how did you get started? So I already answered that. And what courses would you recommend for those who are interested in getting started? Again, I don't have any like courses. I know Google has like some courses, and again, I told you there are some influencers like other social media managers who have offered like classes and stuff. I will do my research and find at least 3 to put in the description box. I'm a comms girl. I went to school for public relations, so if you have a communications degree or a marketing degree, it should be very easy to finesse your way. I don't want to say finesse, maneuver your way within the industry. But again, you don't have to have a communications or marketing degree to work in this industry. You just really have to be creative and willing to work, because again, some of the opportunities that come about, you kind of have to create for yourself. And again, I've had a very non-traditional route. I always say anything is possible, because y'all, I have done some very amazing things, not to like brag or anything like that. It's really more so to inspire you, to let you know what is possible, because I've worked alongside some of the most amazing people in this industry. And yeah, it all started by me identifying what I was interested in, which was magazines and beauty and that type of, I'm pointing over here because I got like a whole stack of magazines on the floor over here. But yeah, just identifying what I was interested in, which was beauty related content. I love beauty, I love fashion. So I was like, I gotta work in that industry. I'm not doing nothing else. I don't like the medical field, whatever. I don't want to do none of that. And y'all gotta know that, like, even though I was a kid when Living Single was around, like Khadijah has always been that girl. Like, sis was an editor. Like, you can't tell me I wasn't gonna be an editor. Like, what? And then also, like, I'm a Sex in the City kind of girl, so like Carrie Bradshaw had a whole column. I was like, I want to do that, you know. That's why I started a blog back in the day. I always knew that this was eventually like the route that I was going to take. I didn't know it was going to be being a social media manager per se, but I knew I was going to work in media, and I'm really only getting started. Like, I have a whole career ahead of me. I have so many goals, so many dreams, and I know that they're going to happen, you know what I mean? So yeah, those were some great questions. I'm sorry if this video is long, but I hope you guys can get a lot of information from this. Again, my DMs are open. Be respectful though. Don't be in there like, hey girl, I want to work in social media management, help me. You know what I mean? But my DMs are open. You can leave questions in the comment section below. I am willing to, you know, share my knowledge with you, because I feel like that's super important, you know, especially for us. Come close, Black girls. For us, you know, these opportunities are out there for us. And oh, also follow Black Girls in Media. I want to call her my friend, but I don't want to offend her by being like, girl, you my friend, and we haven't established that we friends. But I love her. Tosh Mack, she is over Black Girls in Media. Follow her. She also has a great trajectory. Somebody else along the same lines of Kalana and Elaine that you can follow and get inspiration from. I have another friend. This is my friend Shakira White. Follow her. She has a podcast. She is really into like more so like the movie scene, director scene, but she's still a great content for just, you know, working in media. There are so many ways you can work in media outside of social media. There's videography, there's photography. My homegirl Deandra is a photographer. Like, follow her, reach out to her. Like, networking is it's wide open now. We're on the internet, you know. So just figure out what you want to do, girl. Figure out which industry you want to work in, and find the individuals within that industry to like follow and be inspired by, you know what I mean? And just know that whatever you want is attainable, okay? Like, you can do whatever you want to do. It ain't no limits. Anybody who doing something you want to do just means that you can do it too, okay? So yeah, with that being said, we're gonna wrap up because I've been talking for a long time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.